Hey guys, and welcome back to the live coverage of Virtually Expo. Right, we've got a doozy for you now. So collectively, if you haven't already and you're watching this, hop into the chat.
I keep trying to catch up with you on the camera.
What?
Sorry. Every time I'm cutting the camera, you're turning your head the opposite way. This man has had too much caffeine and sugar today.
Yes, so we are monitoring all the chats. So we're monitoring the Twitch, the Facebook, the YouTube. If you're with us, get in on the chat on this one, because during this segment, over the next hour, we're going to build a soundscape live with you guys. So we want you in the chat, we want you active, so that you can help us actually craft a soundscape.
Yeah.
We're joined by Benjamin Looms from Sirenscape. Hey, Benjamin, how are you?
Hello, I'm excellent. It's 1:04 a.m. in the morning here in Sydney, Australia, so I'm feeling fantastic.
Oh,
lovely.
So, for anybody that doesn't know, can you give us a little bit of an overview of Sirenscape?
Yes. Sirenscape is an app that brings beautiful, immersive music and sound effects to your tabletop games. It's specifically designed for Dungeon Masters to be super easy to use so they can keep their attention on the game, which is the point of where we're playing. And it's designed to really evoke all those feelings of displeasure and horror and joy and excitement in the players, so they really feel like they're actually in the locations that are being painted in the game.
Wow.
Now, Benjamin, quick question. So do you come from a background in like sound engineering that brought you into creating the Sirenscape app?
Yeah, cool. I studied composition at the University of Sydney. I was a professional classical singer, singing with Opera Australia and chorus with them and lots of smaller roles. I'm a pianist and a gaming geek and an amateur programmer. So it was kind of that weird synergy between those three things that came together when I was looking for some sound at the gaming table. I happened to have a unique sort of set of weird skills that actually made that possible.
Well, that's nothing wrong with that.
So tell us how you came about inventing Sirenscape then.
Yeah. So as I said, I'm a musician and playing Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games with my friends. And it did just seem weird to do it in silence. That was kind of the way we used to do it, 15 years ago or so. So I started using CDs and music soundtracks. So they were kind of all right, but I actually thought it'd be fun to edit together actual, like a movie soundtrack specifically for my game. So I started making recordings. Grabbed a sequencer, pulled in a bit of music, some wind sounds, some wolves and things like that. And I made 15-minute recordings which would go round and round and round at the table. And that was all right until the day when the players had been in this town for like the fifth time that had gone around the 15 minutes because they were still negotiating like exactly what the precise deal was and where they were going. And there'd been this dog, and then there's of a wolf, which I'd stuck in that loop. And it had gone round 5 times already. And instead of immersing my players in my medieval town, it was actually becoming slightly annoying to them, the sheer repetitive nature of it. And they stopped the table, and like all of them all together just went, oh. I'm so sad. So I started trying to make my recordings longer and longer and longer, and that was sort of all right, but you can't add rain in or sort of change the volume or turn the dogs off because they all got murdered by the PCs or something like that. And I eventually thought, surely a computer is a really great thing for picking these samples up and randomly playing them with random timing so they don't repeat themselves. And I got Python, and there's a couple of plugins for Python that did some nice audio work. And in the spare time between teaching piano students and singing students, I cobbled together kind of this fairly dodgy sort of program that did that and used it at my table, and people loved it. So then I shared it on the internet. We're talking like 11 years ago as donationware. People really, really liked it, which was super cool, and donated money. And then before I knew it, they were asking, I want an iOS version and I want more content. And it's like, So I contacted an entrepreneur that I was working with at the time. He was running an arts program that I was conducting in. And I wanted a tech contact, someone who could help me translate it into iOS Objective-C, that awful language. And he was kind of like, what is this thing? And suddenly I'm coming up with business proposals and modeling the audience availability and all this sort of stuff. And then and then it just sort of went crazy from there. And now and the CEO of this company and do all this amazing stuff. So
Fantastic.
yeah, it was really from an actual need, something specifically I needed and that I tried to fill with existing solutions and then had to just build it myself, which is, I think, often the best way things are made.
Yeah. Now, here's a question for you. Say I am user 0. I've been role-playing for years, and I have never came across Sirenscape before. How do I begin?
Excellent. Well, probably the number one thing to do is just go to Sirenscape.com. You can type in Sirenscape into Google. You can misspell it however you like pretty much, and you'll find us. You can actually download a thing called the Fantasy Player, which is it's an offline version that just works on your own device. You don't have to be connected to the internet when you want to use it or anything. And you don't even have to register an account or anything. And you can use the 10 free sound sets. There's like a sort of a generic spooky forest. There's a good medieval town. There's a red dragon battle. There's a creepy shopkeeper. All these sorts of things you might need, and you can try those without even giving us your email address or anything like that.
Wow!
And then, if you do register, you can then play your sounds in the online player instead for yourself, and then you can buy some content if you want to try it out. And then, yeah, there's lots of pathways. But number one is just download that fantasy player and have a go and listen to see if you like the quality of the sound design and everything you can do with it.
I have to say I am a huge fan of any company that says, you know what, I am so confident in what I'm making. I'm going to let you grab this and have a go before you do anything else with me.
Well, I tell you what,
I respect.
I want to grab it and have a go because I am fascinated by this. Audioscapes is something that I absolutely love in games, let's build a soundscape. I want to see how this goes.
You want me to give you a quick demo of how it works?
Yes. Let's get stuck in.
I can do that. Right, I'm going to try the technology. I'm going to share my screen now. Because it's Zoom, and I'm not streaming through OBS. Now, can you see the screen now of Sirenscape?
Can you bring it up a bit bigger?
Yes. It's me, of course I can. So let me see if I've been clever.
Yeah, there we go.
Let me just... as I said, the sound is going to be coming in through this mic, which is not going to be totally brilliant. Normally, if I was streaming, I'd be going through OBS. It would all be absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So, let me just show you the basic concept for a start. And then we need to maybe ask the people watching the stream for maybe some suggestions. So we're going to build something for them absolutely beautiful. But here is a sound set. We've got a lizard folk battle here. It's going to be made up of some environmental sounds. And probably some music. The sounds of the monsters. We can add in the sound of rain. We could add in the sound of lava pouring down on the players. We can cast spell. We can trigger a Wilhelm scream. We can
hello, Wilhelm.
Bring up fireball and cast ourselves a fireball if we want. Basically, any scene you can imagine in a movie that you might be able to hear. Tell me if it's too loud as well. It's so sad you're missing out on all the good bass.
Okay. No,
so what we need from the people out there, or from you guys, is what can we put in our sound set? So we're going to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And we need to come up with a location for our encounter to happen.
Okay, Monster Battle at UK Games
creatures.
Expo.
Yep. Monster Battle UK Games Expo.
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking we need to start.
Okay.
I love it. Excellent. Whoops. Okay, yep, we'll call it that. That sounds fantastic. Why is it typing that? Okay, right. So we want the crowd sound of people.
Yeah.
Now, there is a Gen Con sound set in Sirenscape.
Right.
It's going to be about the same sort of feel, isn't it? Sweaty people in the exhibit hall.
Yeah, people running around trying to get shinies.
That's right. Absolutely. Okay. General hubbub of people. I like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this mood. So a mood is here in the left-hand column. What it does is it starts some elements. An element is essentially an aspect of the sound design, a part of the sound design. So there's some yells in here. There's some coughs. There's some shoppers making comments. We can probably copy this mood, holus bolus, over to, what are we saying, Monster.
Could you tell me about Sirenscape?
Nice.
Monster Battle, there we are. Okay, so I'm going to copy that mood over, and that'll be our starting point, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Now, what's going to attack us? in this location?
Okay, I think that's
Elephants.
I was going to pass it out to the community, but if Warren wants elephants,
it's
Warren
okay.
gets elephants.
What is going to attack us, guys? Get it stuck there into
Yes.
the chat.
So you can comment on YouTube, you can comment on Twitch, you can comment on your Twitter,
Okay.
your Periscope, or YouTube.
Yeah.
Did I-
And
and
if
if
you
Add
don't
an
pick,
elephant
it's
in
going to
there,
be
'cause
mammoths.
that's an important place to start.
Okay, the Con Dragon we've got. I'm seeing Yeti.
Uh-huh.
Magic the Gathering players. Just so
Yeti
there's no
roar?
queue at the
Should I
bring
add
by.
the Yeti in as well?
Yeah, let's get a Yeti in there, yeah.
Yeah, Yeti will be good.
So we've got Yetis and mammoths. So we're going for this hairy theme, Justin.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Some people are going nuts with this. Halflings riding walruses. that's a little bit out of left field.
Have we got walruses?
Have I got a walrus sound? Now you can bring your own sounds into Sirenscape.
Yeah.
You just basically create an element and go to the playlist here and import your own sounds. So if someone has a great walrus sound, then you would just record it on your microphone, cut it up into each of the little parts, and then bring it in. I'll show you what makes up an element. Here's an element, which is our elephant trumpet, right? Which is going along. It's filled with 10 different element trumpets. And every time that little timer ring goes around, which happens every 3 to 30 seconds. I think if our elephant's in a battle, it's going to happen more frequently, isn't it? So let's make it go sort of every 1 to 3 seconds. It's going to elephant roar. It's going to pick up an elephant roar. It's going to place it at a random distance.
Oh my god.
3 to 15 meters away in a random direction. At the moment, the elephant can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
That's what elephants do.
Yes.
And then it plays. There you go. See how it's happening more frequently. It puts forest reverb on. So we probably want to make that different, don't we? Let's make that concert hall
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
probably a. There we go. And it plays that elephant, and it picks a different random elephant roar every single time,
Nice.
as you can see here from the playlist.
And
So if I took the time now, which you really don't want to wait and watch me just perform my favorite walrus sound, that's what I would do. I would drag my walrus sample. That's right. It's not like a 10-minute recording of a whole lot of walrus sounds. It's each individual walrus utterance broken into a separate sample.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
is it stereo? Is it 5.1 or?
Yes, 7. It goes up to 7.1. So
7.1,
absolutely,
nice.
surround is very intense. Yeah.
Wow.
At the moment,
So
it's
if
not
so
even,
how
not
would I
even
do
proper
that?
Stereo.
I'm
How do you do
fortunate
that?
enough to have I have a surround sound system in my shed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an Onkyo jobby that can work. I suppose I could connect it via optical or maybe HDMI or
Yes,
Bluetooth.
that's right.
Yeah.
So you would HDMI out of your laptop is probably the most straightforward way to do it. Because
Yeah.
then it puts it out. You just have to set the audio output inside Sirenscape to 7.1, and then the sounds are all distributed. And so that means so you look at this Yeti roar, it's actually set to go anywhere from the center of the front all the way around on the right-hand side, around to 180 degrees behind you.
Yeah.
And if it's doing that in stereo, then obviously you get a panning effect. So the Yeti might sort of appear right sort of here sometimes and a bit over there sometimes. Or I could drag it so that the Yeti appears always in front of us. Maybe just 29 degrees to the left, 15 degrees to the right. It gets very specific. We can obviously make this elephant louder. We can by bringing it closer. So we could bring it, let's allow it to be anywhere between 1 and 2 meters. And that'll make it a bit more intense.
Ah.
Okay, so
This
like
is
that.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The depth of this is absolutely fabulous.
Now, if our elephant and we're calling that elephant a mammoth, yes, and our
Yes.
Yetis are attacking, what other sounds are going to be in that environment? Like how are the people going to react is what we're thinking, right?
Honestly, these are hardened gamers.
The only way to ward off an attacking mammoth is through the power of song. Okay.
Song.
So they would sing.
Excellent.
They would get together as a choir and they would sing.
I
So
am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole.
In the Descent into Avernus, sorry, not Descent, the Dragon Heist adventures we did for Dungeons and Dragons, in the Yawning Portal, we got a whole host of Dungeons and Dragons creators together in a room, and we sang drunken songs. Here we are. Let's
That's
see
it.
if they say
Winner!
it. Let's see if that sounds good.
Oh, we're not quite picking it up over here. You maybe need to move your microphone closer.
I'm making it louder. I'm making it louder. That's as loud as I can go.
Oh, it's not coming through quite right for us here. I have a question though.
Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad. But imagine there's drunken sounds going on. I'm going to copy that into our sound set.
Yep.
Copy into sound set monster battle. Excellent. That's there as well. What about screaming? Oh, I've got big male warriors. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Oh, yes. Big male warriors.
Right,
That sounds good, yeah.
So we'll add that into our sound set.
Yeah. And we maybe want to throw the strong female warriors in there as well.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So monster battle, here we are. Okay, we're going to add that element. So I basically just searched for the word warrior because I thought when us gamers are bold and strong.
Of course.
And,
Oh, yes.
Of course. Now, a little question from myself.
Yes.
Let's say I have created the ultimate dungeon atmospheric piece through Sirenscape.
Yes.
Is that just for me, or is there a way for me to share my creation with my friends?
Yeah, absolutely. So so number one, you're going to use this at your table, right? Once you've finished it, and this extraordinary encounter that you've dreamt up happens, you're going to sit and play it at your table, and your player's going to love it. If you're playing remotely, these sounds, the interface here I'm using is the Sirenscape online player. Each of your players can have a little player app sitting on their desktop, and actually, instead of going down my microphone, as you can see how sadly spoiled the sound is, but you can all hear it yourself by downloading it. It will be playing locally on your machine, which is a super, super cool thing. So rather than going through the Zoom horrible compression, the sounds are actually broadcast out. The samples are delivered right onto your players' computers.
Nice.
And then they can play it there. And then, yes, once you've actually had that encounter, you've decided that you're a genius sound designer, then you can actually share your designs on to the rest of the Sirenscape community as community content.
Nice.
And we've had lots of people do that. We've got some people who are writing their own original music, so they're sharing that on. People who have even just take Sirenscape content and organized it into different categories of styles of music and things like that. Yeah, it's lots of fun. We've got some people making some Wild West content at the moment, which is really great.
Yeah.
I can think of a number of games that could utilize that straight off the bat. Wild West Exodus.
Of course. Wild West Exodus would be great for that. I mean, like even I'm sure if all right, we were talking to Cubicle 7 earlier. And one thing we're doing soon is that Wrath and Glory game.
Yes.
I would love to grab this for some like dark gothic music, drips, clanks, of a running ship, maybe just the odd squeak from a rattling running away. Could be great.
The other great thing about this is the fact, Benjamin, that it's designed from the ground up for folk to be able to use remotely from one another. In today's current pandemic situation that we find ourselves in, it just makes this just perfect. Because we're gaming remotely from one another, and many of us are gaming with people on the other side of the world because it's the only kind of gaming we're getting at the moment. So this way, we're able to share in I suppose it's like a much more in-depth kind of experience where we have this audio enveloping us.
That's one of the things I love. I've been playing, with my gaming group, the Dice Stormers, remotely. And what's cool, because, as I said, so you basically use this interface to control the sounds and to trigger them as a dungeon master. And then whoever has the little online player, and I'll show you what it looks like. Here it is running on my iPad.
Yep.
It's actually running in multitasking, so I could actually be controlling the sounds here. That interface which you're seeing before is actually running on my iPad here, and I can navigate over and look at my Ankhead stats or whatever. And whoever has this little online player running on their machine can hear those sounds in beautiful full stereo, even in fact, as whatever stereo systems you have. And what's cool is that when our voice software starts to go bobble and the connection goes bad, because Sirenscape is playing content from stuff that's actually being cached on the device, it actually just keeps rolling on. So that dungeon ambience, with the beautiful music and the drips or whatever, or the medieval town with the light rain and all that just keeps trundling on, even when I get disconnected from the game. So it helps to keep us connected to the drama, even when we have technical difficulties with our Discord or Zoom or whatever. So I really love that.
Yeah. Now I'm also wondering here as well. So if I have other players brought in, am I able to give them a specific like set of sounds that they can play as their character, or do they see everything?
That's a really cool question. Let me share the screen again. Here we are. So you can send a link to a player for their spell. So what's a really cool spell? Let's say did I trigger a fireball?
Is there
before?
like
Let's
a
do
gooey
fireball.
blob?
I love you, Warren.
So here's our fireball spell, right?
Yeah,
So that. I can actually go here. What'll be wizard spells? Okay, wizard spells. I can actually share with my players a link to that one, to that fireball spell. Where are we? Fireball. Fireball. There we are. I click that, boom, and that copies to the clipboard a link that I can then share in chat. And then all they have to do is use that link. They just have to navigate to that link in a browser or send that link out from a run command or whatever. And that fireball sound will be incorporated into the rest of the stream. Whatever spell they want to. And that's super cool. So when it comes to their turn, instead of just saying, oh, well, okay, I cast fireball and then sort of collect their dice, they can actually just trigger that sound and everyone sort of knows immediately what's happening.
Yeah.
The place where I really love this is in cure spells. So what are we saying? We're saying cleric. So rather than that player just sort of finally getting to their big turn and all they can do is sort of announce, a number of dice or something. Instead, they can click their link like this, boom, and everyone knows straight away that they've taken the time to give some love and care to their fellow companions.
I'm digging this because I love the idea of like player character boards. So Warren, you're playing the barbarian as you love to do, charging forth into the deepest, darkest nether regions of the dungeon.
Yes.
And all we hear is the battle cry of the mighty Warzan.
And the sound of the
right.
loincloth
Yes,
being
just
whipped off.
flapping in the breeze.
Do you know what? Benjamin, do you know what I would love to do? I would love to actually... Because
There he goes!
as on tabletop, there we go, that is me! we have a ton of niche groups within the on-tabletop viewership of historical gamers and stuff, and war gamers, role players, and the likes. I would love to invite you on to some live streams with me where we create soundscapes. For example, some evening we could get together and create a soundscape for World War II tabletop gamers. Yeah. Just to experiment and to really see just what this system is capable of. Because although we're looking at the soundscapes and have it playing, where this is fascinating for me is the ability for it to react in real time to the game and to the narrative that's playing out. And people are asking in the chat about it. It would be cool if this worked for
Saga.
Well, it'd be cool if this worked for war games. This will work for war games. This will work for any kind of game.
Yeah, because you can have your low background rumble of battles, and then if you've got your device beside you, oh look, there go the cavalry for the charge. In they go.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
It
takes just a little bit of organization to get the stuff, ready. But as we've seen today, how quick it is just to grab a few components and cobble them together.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, we've done fantasy right now, but it does sci-fi stuff. It does cyberpunk. We have a license with Cyberpunk Red to make the official sounds for that role-playing game, which is super, super cool. Ooh. So it's got all those techie sounds and the sounds of flying cars and, the medic crew coming in. We've got all the different sort of genres. Like Call of Cthulhu is a really big thing. We have an official license to make the official sounds for that. And that sound is like super, super important in horror to sort of get that underlying sense of disquiet and sort of discomfort in the players, and often those feelings are delivered subliminally by the music track, or by the slight, distant, only just perceptible sound of skittering insects or a deep thump that you don't even notice, but because we've all watched Jurassic Park, we know precisely what a deep thump is, and we're now scared. So yeah, it's super, super important.
Oh, it's such a fabulous thing. Benjamin, I think myself and some parts of the community could really challenge you on this, because we have, for example, modern genre wargamers. So we could say a Middle East setting, the sounds of AK-47s in the distance. So there's all kinds of stuff we could explore with this.
Yeah, A10 goes burr.
Oh, man.
I'll show you some of our modern weapons because they're cool. So we have, am I sharing? Yep. Okay, excellent. Yep. So I've got some great explosions. Some great chainsaw stuff, which is lots of fun. You pump your shotgun, hit it off. Automatic weapons, of course. And these are the ones you can trigger yourself, but of course you can then set them just to auto-play.
Yeah.
You know, so it'll play a weapon every now and then. So you've got some epic music running. It'll play those weapons. You can add the sounds of people yelling or shouting. Or yay! The chaos. So yeah, absolutely. So it's all in there, and it's just a matter of sort of getting those. And we've tried to make the search function as quick as possible, so you can find the stuff you're looking for really, really easily without sort of distracting a whole lot of time away from the game.
Yeah, I'm digging this. So much
so
right
cool.
now.
Let me take a moment just to show people the virtual stand that you have at the convention. Okay, so if you guys are interested in this, and honestly, I can't see who wouldn't be at the moment. Have a look at their virtual stand. You can search for Sirenscape. They have a link to Twitch. They have links to their website. You guys earlier today had the power of sound at the gaming table presentation. I don't suppose you're putting that up to your YouTube channel or anything, are you?
We do. It's on. If you search for, in fact, let me just work that out quickly. And I saw just a question about APIs for VTT. So let's make sure we talk about that because that's a great question. The power of gaming. Steve will probably put a link to the video, or he can actually mention it. Sirenscape Power of Sound. There's a really good version of it. Yeah, okay, so if you search for Sirenscape, the Power of Sound on YouTube, and there's a video, the Power of Sound at the gaming table, and it really goes into a really lovely in-depth talk about light motifs and sound cues and psychological effects, and then there's a really good demo there of prepping for a game right on the spot and right live, as if I've forgotten to prep for the game at all, and how I quickly bring in the different elements that I need. Yeah. And everything's explained there, and there's some really good questions from the audience and stuff that happen in that interview as well.
We're talking about home users and stuff using this, but I've got to say, as pandemic conditions start to ease and we start to get back to normal life, I want to put this in our visitor center. This is ideal for 40K night or something like that. You have this on a tablet. Yep. It's playing a thing, and then people can go up and make changes to it.
Or if I think there is a way to link multiple accounts into that one that would be showing on the tablet, so they would have access to the output of that tablet, I believe.
That's right. Yes, that's right. That's what I often do. I'll often play the sound myself on my own tablet while I'm running it, but then I'll have another device like a phone or something sitting over in the corner, plugged into my stereo system, playing the sounds for the whole room. Yeah, and that creates even more of that kind of immersive effect.
Can we talk a little bit about the API?
Yeah, the API, that's right. So absolutely, there's an API. So that one link that I showed you, how to trigger a spell sound, all those links are available to start and stop elements, to trigger moods and everything. And there is an API. And Fantasy Grounds is probably the group that's gone the furthest in terms of integration. So Fantasy Grounds, there are plugins for Fantasy Grounds that watch the chat. And if you to cast a message spell, it says so in chat, and the API is listening and watching, and it will actually trigger a message spell sound automatically. If someone fireballs and the message appears in the chat of Fantasy Grounds, fireball, 28 damage on a save or whatever, it plays the fireball sound. When you swing and miss, it plays a swing and miss sound. When there's a critical hit, it plays a critical hit sound, which is super, super cool. Wow. So people have built those already, and yeah, absolutely, it's Sirenscape is 100% ready to be integrated into whatever VTTs that people are able to do.
That's cool.
Really, really great. Yeah.
I'm going to throw it out there because I'm just absolutely curious. Obviously, you've embarked onto the Soundscape. These days, with home automation and the likes, we're seeing lots of fancy lights like Philips Hue and everything else. Has it occurred to you maybe to see if you can go further?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've spent the last 6 months updating Sirenscape to the latest version of Unity, which was a huge job that translating millions of lines of code. And we've got a beautiful, fresh version of Sirenscape, which has allowed stuff like the multitasking on iOS, which is super cool. And so my dev team are just coming up for air, and that's when I'm saying to them, I'd like it to be able to control my lights as well. Because, yeah, absolutely. When I hit that mood, dank forest, you could have an overall light color setting for of a kind of a greeny brown. And then when you trigger, say, a thunder one shot, you could have the lights flash white. And so that's, absolutely. And the way the server is set up, the fact that it's a web-based, with the online player, it's a web-based master interface that then sends out, API calls to all remote devices where ideally set up to control lighting. So I'm very excited about that. And my poor dev team are also excited, but also tired, but also excited. So yeah.
See, I'm loving the idea of this, because say you're setting up camp for the evening, you get the campfire up and going, and the lights just begin to go that nice orange glow and start to go up and down and flicker and cast some shadows. And then with the audio mixed in with the light effects, that's going to be so beyond immersive.
We put the Philips Hue system here into the visitor center. So each table has interactive lighting above it. So the prospect of running something like this and the lighting and the sound starting to coordinate, it's going to be amazing.
And by the way, because you're talking about using Sirenscape in a public setting, we one of the best things we did is to allow people who are streamers or podcasters or people in stores or game centers to use Sirenscape. You can use Sirenscape. There's details on our FAQ page. Get into contact with Steve, our fantastic community manager. Essentially, you use it under Creative Commons attribution. All the music is safe and all the sound effects are safe from strikes, from copyright strikes. It's all original Sirenscape music, or commissioned, or it's stuff that's Creative Commons 0 or whatever, and all the attributions and everything are all sorted. And there's just says on our FAQ, you basically can use Sirenscape in your YouTube stream or whatever in exchange for a shout out. Tweet at us, a fantastic funny moment, and we'll retweet you. If you manage to make one of your players choke on their drink, we love to hear that sort of stuff, and we can share your stream and help to promote you as well if we're able. So that's one of the best things we ever did.
That's really cool and really inclusive to the creator content community out there.
Benjamin, is there anything else you'd like to cover?
Let me look. Is there anything else I haven't mentioned, Steve? My community manager's watching. We mentioned you can use it in your stream. We mentioned you can use it in your remote games. Yeah, how do you get a new feature in Sirenscape? Someone asked once in one of these, which I love. And of course, if anyone else has any questions, now is the time to dump them in chat so these guys can ask me. Basically, apart from the original feature set, almost everything in Sirenscape is there because the community has asked for it. We have a really beautifully active community on the forums, and people complain, is basically what it is, and say, I want this! And if you can make your voice heard and get other people jump in and ask as well, then that's how Sirenscape grows and becomes what it is.
Bad Bot Craig is asking, can this be used in browser-based applications?
Browser-based applications. Now, what does that mean?
I wonder, is he
asking, can we just run it through a web page? Is he possibly asking?
I don't know. Or is this an API question? Question's a bit broad.
Yes. So anything that can call a URL can trigger Sirenscape to behave, right? So all that you're seeing here, in fact, share. This is just a browser window. This is the one we built. As I said, Fantasy Grounds have built a thing where it's completely triggered from within Fantasy Grounds. If you can build something that can call a URL, all the URL is like sirenscape.com / start element, blah, blah, blah. It has a little token on there that tells our server which online players to send it to. So that, today I've got it linked up with the online player that's running on my iPad. And and if 5 other players are in your game, then that same cue to play that element or to play that mood or that that terrible attack at UK Games Expo with mammoths and yetis, that gets sent out. So absolutely, yeah, the API is there. Just jump on the forums once again, ask for the details, and we'll queue you up so you can get going, building and controlling.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
See, I love the idea of possibly being like a really mean DM. You know, the party's walking through a dungeon, and all they start to hear is plap, 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 plap.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, so using audio clues as actual part of the story.
Exactly, because there was one I was looking at recently, the Hellboy RPG that you guys sat down to do a session for.
Yes, we did, yeah.
So as I was doing the video editing on that and actually going through it, I was reading through the campaign as well, and I was just sitting there going, I wish I had that sound clip to just like drop in there, or the DM had it, and just as you guys were, faffing about a little bit, searching through rooms, you could have just had that little audio cue just to like maybe make you go, wait, what was that? I'm getting paranoid. What's going on here?
It adds,
Hurry up too, can't it, sometimes?
yeah, it adds a whole new aspect to your toolkit as a dungeon master, as a games master, to be able to interact with your players.
It's atmospheric cues.
Yeah, because as you say, it doesn't have to be reactive. You can use it to try and lay the groundwork for the story that you're trying to tell.
Exactly, but say it's also something you want to be like a small clue, so you could turn the audio way down on it. And if your players are paying attention, they'll maybe hear it and it'll give them a trigger and maybe lead them along the adventure a little better than you saying, okay, stop, you start hearing something, give me perception.
And as they start passing perception tests, you'd start turning it up a little bit.
Exactly,
So, yeah.
you can make it more and more of that.
Yeah, another cool thing, which is really great, is the box text in official adventures has been read out by various different really, really excellent voice actors. We've got obviously the actual creators of Dungeons and Dragons, Chris Perkins and those guys, Greg Tito, have actually read the box text, so you don't have to necessarily act it out yourself. We've also got totally interactable characters. Matt Mercer's recorded 3 of his most loved NPCs. You can actually have a conversation with them. They say yes and no and thanks and what are you talking about? And there's all that triggerable, which is super cool. One of the free sound sets, you get 10 free sound sets. Remember, with the fantasy player, if you just want to go and try that out, is a creepy shopkeeper, and you can haggle with the creepy shopkeeper and ask for a discount, and you can sort of interact with her like that, which is super fun. So yeah.
Oh, it's just
Fabulous.
incredible.
Absolutely fabulous.
Benjamin, I will be reaching out to you for us to do some Soundscape challenges in the near future. Guys, head on over to Sirenscape.com or check them out on their virtual stand here at the Expo. And yeah, Benjamin, thank you so much for joining us, man. That has been an absolute blast.
That's been a belter.
People should go and see, go to YouTube, search for Sirenscape, The Power of Gaming, if you want a really in-depth leap into sound and why sound works and how it works. Download the free player and give it a go. And then, possibly if you're playing official D&D adventure or Pathfinder adventure or Call of Cthulhu adventure, grab one of those sound packs. Fully prepared sound, so all the preparation is done for you.
Yeah, and a big thank you to Steve from Sirenscape for being active in the chat there.
thank you, Steve.
You're doing a sterling job, Steve.
Thank goodness.